Hello students, how are you? Welcome to this learning. This is the first part of atomic structure chapter. In this chapter, we will cover Planck's quantum theory and Bohr's atomic model, and in this video we will discuss only the postulates of Bohr's atomic model, and in the next video we will discuss the expressions of radius, energy and velocity of the electron present in the Bohr orbit and the physical interpretation of the expressions. Okay, so तुम सब नोटबुक और पेन लेकर बैठ जाइए. Without wasting any time, let's get started. Our first topic is Planck's quantum theory. In the year 1901, Max Planck put forward this theory. Now we will discuss the main postulates of Max Planck's quantum theory. The first postulate is the radiant energy. The radiant energy is quantized. Radiant energy is quantized. Max Planck firstly gave this concept that the radiant energy is quantized. Number two is the energy is radiated in the form of small packets, and each energy packet is called quantum. एक एक एनर्जी पैकेट को क्वांटम कहते हैं. As you know, quantum is a singular number and quanta is the plural number. So one energy packet is called quantum and more than one energy packet is known as quanta. Okay, so this is a very significant introduction made by Max Planck that the radiant energy is actually the packet of energy. इस पॉइंट को हम एक आसान तरीके से समझ लेते हैं. सूरज से जो एनर्जी आते हैं वो एनर्जी कंटिन्यूसली नहीं आते हैं. ये एनर्जी एक पैकेट की तरह होते हैं. दिस एनर्जी कम्स इन द फॉर्म ऑफ ए पैकेट. दिस पैकेट ऑफ एनर्जी आर नोन एज क्वांटम. It is not continuous, it is discrete. One packet of energy is called one quantum. So this is a very important introduction that the energy is not continuous, it is quantized, and one packet of energy, quantized energy, is called quantum. Okay, let's go forward. In point number 3, Planck told us that the radiant energy is proportional to the frequency of the radiation. This nu is called frequency. Nu is called frequency of the energy wave. Frequency of the wave. Okay, and so when we equalize these two terms, E will be equal to h into nu. This is the famous equation, equal to h nu, where this h is known as Planck's constant. H is Planck's constant. And of course it has a certain value. The value is 6.626 into 10 to the power minus 34 joule into second. The dimension is very important. SI unit of energy is joule and the unit of frequency is second inverse. This portion comes on the left hand side to give you second. So joule into second, this is the unit of Planck's constant. And in arg unit, in CGS unit, we can write this is equal to 6.626 into 10 to the power minus 34, sorry, this is 10 to the power minus 27 arg into second. This is your SI unit and this is in CGS unit. Okay. Now we can go forward by using this equation. This is equal to h nu and this E is the energy. This E is the energy of one quantum. Energy of one quantum. Energy of one quantum, this is E equal to h into nu. So this is the energy of one quantum only. If we want to calculate the energy of separate number of quanta, then the energy will be, you can write the energy of n number of quanta. N number of quanta, sorry. This will be equal to, say, E of n, this is equal to n into h into nu. So this is the energy of n number of quanta, and if this n be the Avogadro number, then we can write the energy of 1 mole of quanta. Sorry, energy of 1 mole of quanta. This is equal to E of Na is the Avogadro number. This is equal to Na into h nu, and this energy of 1 mole of quanta, this amount of energy is known as 1 Einstein. This is known as 1 Einstein. So 1 Einstein is an energy unit, and this energy is obviously variable because the frequency value is variable. So energy of 1 mole of quanta is known as 1 Einstein, right? No problem in that. Okay. And lastly, in Planck's quantum theory, we have to note another point, that is the difference between quantum and photon. And obviously we can write there will be many kind of radiant energy, and of course the visible light is a type of radiant energy. So for light energy, we can write, for light energy, quantum is called photon. Quantum is called photon. The point you have to note, that for light energy quantum is called photon. नोट नंबर 2 में हम कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ क्वांटाइजेशन ऑफ एनर्जी को थोड़ा अच्छी तरह से समझ लेते हैं. सो नोट नंबर 2 इज क्वांटाइजेशन ऑफ एनर्जी. Now, according to the concept of quantization of energy, energy of the photon must be an integral multiple of h nu. So the energy of a photon can be h nu it may be 2h nu, it may be 3h nu, it may be 4h nu, and so on and so on. But the energy of a photon can't be a fractional multiple of h nu. That is, the energy can't be like say 1.2 into h nu. It can't be. The energy can't be say 2.6 into h nu, and it can't be say 3.2 into h nu. It can't be happened. So energy of quanta must be an integral multiple of h nu. Now ये क्वांटाइजेशन ऑफ एनर्जी को समझने के लिए हमेशा ही एक स्टेयरकेस और लैडर को इस्तेमाल किया जाता है. Let us draw a ladder. In this ladder we can put our feet in the stairs only, but we can't put our feet at the space. Similarly, from the ground level, the energy of the quanta may be h nu, it may be 2h nu, it may be 3h nu, it may be 4h nu, or it may be 5h nu. But the energy of the quantum can't be 1.2 h nu, or 2.4, or 3.6, or 4.5 h nu. It can't be happened. So this is a very important idea to illustrate the concept of quantization of energy, right? Now it's the time for Bohr's atomic model. In the year 1913, Niels Bohr in the year 1913, Danish physicist Niels Bohr proposed his famous atomic model. This atomic model has three important postulates. I will cover the postulates one by one. Okay, so Bohr's first postulate is known as the postulate of angular momentum. First postulate is the postulate of angular momentum. Postulate of angular momentum. So in this postulate, Bohr said that electrons can revolve around the nucleus in some selected orbits. Electrons can revolve around the nucleus in some selected orbits only. There is a condition imposed on these selected pathways or the selected orbits. मैं यहाँ पे लिख लेता हूँ. Electron can revolve around the nucleus in some selected orbits, selected pathways, in some selected pathways or orbits in which angular momentum of the electron of the electron becomes an integral multiple of integral multiple of h by 2 pi, that is angular momentum and it is expressed by mvr, m into v into r, that will be equal to n into h by 2 pi. So this is the Bohr's condition of angular momentum. So electrons can revolve in some selected orbits only, in which the angular momentum of the electron will be mvr equal to an integral multiple of h by 2 pi, and the integral multiplier is n. This n is known as principal quantum number. It is known as principal quantum number. Principal quantum number, definitely this is a whole number, and the values of n are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on. Okay, and of course h is the Planck's constant. So the electronic orbits are designated by the principal quantum number. For the first orbit, principal quantum number n equal to 1. For the second orbit it is n equal to 2. For the third orbit this is n equal to 3. For fourth orbit n equal to 4. For fifth orbit n equal to 5, and so on. So according to the Bohr's condition, in the first orbit, angular momentum of the electron will be h by 2 pi into 1. So in the first orbit, the angular momentum of the electron will be h by 2 pi. In the second orbit, it is 2h by 2 pi. In the third orbit, it is n3h by 2 pi. In the fourth orbit, it is 4h by 2 pi. And in the fifth orbit is 5h by 2 pi, and so on. So this is a very significant condition imposed by Niels Bohr, that electrons can revolve in these selected orbits only. जैसे तुम लोग इधर उधर पे नहीं घूम सकते हो, तुम्हारा पेरेंट्स तुम्हारे ऊपर थोड़ा रेस्ट्रिक्शन लगा के रखा है, जो तुम इधर पे नहीं जा सकते हो, उधर पे नहीं घूम सकते हो, ये वाला काम नहीं कर सकते हो, है ना। एग्जैक्टली वैसे नील्स बोर इलेक्ट्रॉन के ऊपर भी एक रेस्ट्रिक्शन लगा दिया, जो इलेक्ट्रॉन्स कैन रिवॉल्व इन दिस सिलेक्टेड ऑर्बिट्स ओनली। इलेक्ट्रॉन्स इधर उधर पे नहीं घूम सकते हैं। तो क्लियर है ना। आशा करती हूँ तुम ये वाला कॉन्सेप्ट बहुत अच्छी तरह से समझ गए हो। सो ये हो गया बोर का पहला पोस्टुलेट। अब क्वेश्चन ये आते हैं कि ये एंगुलर मोमेंटम क्या होती है। तुम लोग फिजिक्स का सर्कुलर मोशन चैप्टर में एंगुलर मोमेंटम ज़रूर पढ़ चुके हो। स्टिल आई कैन गिव यू सम बेसिक आइडिया। ओके, जब कोई भी ऑब्जेक्ट एक सर्कुलर ऑर्बिट में घूमते हैं तब उसका एक एंगुलर वेलोसिटी होते हैं। सो द एंगुलर मोमेंटम this one will be equal to the moment of inertia. Moment of inertia I into angular velocity इसको ओमेगा के द्वारा रिप्रेजेंट किया जाता है। this is angular velocity. So this moment of inertia I equal to m into r square, and this angular velocity, equal to v by r. This v is the magnitude of the velocity vector. So this one gives us m into v into r. So this is the angular momentum m into v into r. Okay. This portion is not the part of the postulate. This one is for developing your concept. Okay, now let's proceed to the postulate number 2. Now postulate 2 is known as postulate of stationary orbit. Okay, postulate 2 is known as the postulate of stationary orbit. Postulate of stationary orbit. Okay. Now, according to Bohr, the energy of these particular orbits are fixed, and each orbit has a particular energy. Say for example, this orbit has the energy of, first orbit has the energy of E1, second orbit has the energy of E2, third one, this one is E3, for fourth orbit it is E4, for fifth orbit it is E5, and so on. So the energies of these particular orbits are fixed, and when the electron revolves in these particular orbits, the energy of the electron becomes equal to the energy of that particular orbit. When the electron revolves in the first orbit, its energy becomes equal to the energy of the first orbit. When the electron revolves in the second orbit, its energy becomes equal to the energy of the second orbit. When electron revolves in the fourth orbit, its energy becomes equal to the energy of the fourth orbit, and as the distance of the orbit from the nucleus increases, the energy of the orbits increases. So the energy order is E1 is less than E2, is less than E3, less than E4, is less than E5, and so on. So the and these particular orbits having a fixed energy are known as stationary orbits. Okay, so the order of energy, I can write the order of energy of these stationary orbits, stationary orbit is E1 is the energy of the first orbit, is less than the energy of the second one, is less than E3, is less than E4, is less than E5, is less than E6, and so on. Okay. And when any particular electron revolves in the particular orbit, it will not absorb or emit any sort of energy. When the electron revolves in the third orbit, it will have the energy equal to that of the third orbit, and its energy remain constant till it rotates in this particular orbit. Okay. So the electron will not evolve or emit any sort of energy when it rotates in a particular orbit. Okay. So this is the postulate number 2. Now moves to the postulate number 3. Now postulate 3 is related to the energy absorbed or energy emitted by the electron. Look, an electron is present in the third orbit, say here. So this electron is present here. So when this electron jumps to the outer orbit, that is the fourth orbit, look what will happen. The energy of this electron is equal to E3, and when the electron comes here, the energy of the electron becomes equal to the energy of the fourth orbit. Okay. So the energy of this electron is less than the energy of fourth orbit, that is E4. So when the electron jumps in this orbit, its energy will be higher than it was when it was present in the third orbit. So this electron has to absorb some amount of energy. This electron has to absorb some amount of energy when it jumps from this orbit to that orbit, from the inner orbit to the outer orbit. And the energy absorbed by the electron will be the energy difference between these two particular orbits. So the energy difference is E4 minus E3, and this energy difference is known as delta E. So when the electron jumps from the inner orbit to the outer orbit, it has to absorb some energy. And likewise, when the electron jumps from the outer orbit to the inner orbit, what will happen? Now the energy of this electron is higher than the energy of this electron. So this electron will have to emit or evolve some amount of energy to go to the inner orbit. And this energy difference, of course, will be the energy difference between the third orbit and second orbit. So when the electron goes to the outer orbit, it will have to absorb some amount of energy. And when the electron comes to the inner orbit, it has to evolve some energy. And this energy difference is also known as delta E, is represented by the energy difference delta E. Now, according to Bohr's third postulate, the energy absorbed or energy emitted by an electron this one is delta E, and delta E in general is presented by the energy difference between two particular orbits. So this is generally represented by En2 difference En1. So the value of N2 may be greater than N1, or the value of N1 may be greater than N2, whatever may be the case. So the frequency of this energy emitted or absorbed by the electron is nu. So according to Planck's equation, we can write this one is h nu, and h nu equal to the energy En2 difference En1. Okay. So the frequency of the absorbed or emitted light is equal to E of N2 difference E of N1 divided by Planck's constant h. So this is the frequency of the emitted or absorbed light. Okay. And as we know, this frequency is equal to c by lambda. So we can write, we know nu equal to c by lambda equal to En2 difference En1 by Planck's constant h. And so the wavelength of the absorbed or the emitted energy will be equal to of course Ch by En2 minus En1, En2 difference En1. Okay. So this c is the velocity of light, h is the Planck's constant. So this is the wavelength of the light absorbed or emitted. So these are all about the three very important postulates made by Niels Bohr. In the next video, we will derive the expressions of radius, velocity and energy of an electron revolving in a Bohr orbit. And we will find the physical interpretations of the expressions. So that's it from this video. Bye bye from now.